All right. Well, welcome everybody to our live kitchen table conversation here with the Minnesota Men and Masculine Folks Network. We're very glad to be back after a couple of weeks. Happy Pride. There are still 2 days left of Pride. So, sending out all of our good, prideful love to all of y'all out there. And yeah, so today we're going to jump into it here. So, kind of the purpose of these kitchen table conversations, as some of you may know who've been following us, is just to have organic, free flowing conversations between those of us who identify as men, male, as masculine in any way. And so, together, through these conversations and through the relationships that we are building, we are attempting to shape a new meaning of masculinity. And so today, as you can see, we have a very special guest here with us. We are welcoming DeX Santillan into our conversation today, who is going to be talking to us a little bit about their gender journey and clothing and fashion and gender expression. And so I'm very excited to see where our conversation goes here today and how fashion and the clothes and the ways that we, show ourselves to the world, how that intersects with our masculinity and how that works and can look for some people and differences as well. So very excited to have you here, Dex. And before we give you the mic, I'll just invite my friends here to introduce themselves. And I forgot to do that myself. So I'm Sean Hayes. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I am coming to you from Duluth, Minnesota, working with the network as well as Men as Peacemakers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felix Martinez. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I work for Esperanza United as the Engaging Men and Boys Program Specialist. I'm reporting today from Eagan, Minnesota. Super happy and excited to be here and to be part of the conversation. Thank you.
And hello, my name is Serrano Robinson. I use he, him, his pronouns. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Today will be my last kitchen conversation formally, so I deeply appreciate. I'm still a part of the crew, still feel the love, so I deeply appreciate everything, and I hope that I can be a part of some capability, some capacity that I can. But yeah, today will be the last formal one. So I guess formally and currently, I am the Youth Restorative Program Coordinator here at Menace Peacemakers and coming out of Duluth. So thank y'all.
Awesome. And I seem to be having a slight lag in my tech, so hopefully that's not going to impact our conversation here too much. But again, just really glad that y'all are tuning in to hear this conversation today, which is our 60th live kitchen table conversation. I was just checking. So that's wild. And Serrano, so happy to have you here on one of your last days and looking forward to connecting with you in the future as well. And so now I would love to open it up to Dex to just share, a little bit about yourself and what is bringing you to the conversation today.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. And thank you all for allowing me to come in here and have a conversation. So DeX Santillan, he, him, his pronouns. And yeah, so really the thing is a couple of things. I was going to talk a little bit about where I've come from and my journey of gender and fashion and clothes and all that. But really where it starts was when I was a kid, to be really honest. My parents were always into dressing nicely and shining the shoes and doing all the fun stuff like that. And taught me all those things, how to iron my clothes and look really nice all the time and whatnot. But with that, at a really young age, I remember having memories of being like, probably under 5, I would get like stuck on clothes. Like I would be like, my mom would tell me all these really awesome stories about, oh, there was those cowboy boots like you never took off and you wore them until you wore them to bed, and you would get like hooked on clothes, like particular items. And I was just really like very intrigued by clothes and would just wear them out. And all the way. It was really cool. And with that came gender stuff. At a really young age, I can remember under 5, just always wanting to be a boy and just like wanting to wear like boys' clothes, quote unquote, and we'll get into the more details about language around that and stuff. But that was always a thing for me. And so going through grade school and stuff like that, we would have like, you have those dress up days at school where it's just like, come wear your pride and, dress in this or dress in that. And whatever excuse I could have to wear a tie, I took where I wouldn't be made fun of in school. That was really a thing. I would always raid my dad's closet and just like grab all his stuff because he always had all kinds of really nice, dressy, fun stuff I loved. So it's something that's been in me since my youth. And what happened, how that translated is growing up and figuring that out, getting comfortable with myself. Growing up, I didn't really come into my full self until I was like 18 is when I like came out as queer, but really didn't start dealing with the gender stuff until later, because I just didn't feel safe to do it, as a lot of us don't have that same story to tell. And so what's so cool about that is that I had support of my mom, which is how I ended up in Minnesota. I'm actually a Southern California kid, but I'm in Minnesota and I've been here a long time now, and all my family's in California and I'm still here. But the cool thing about all that is that, I just slowly started having an evolution of getting comfortable. I remember even having times in my life where it was like, I would be really upset when I was sirred. In other words, people would mistake me as a man and I would be really upset about it. And it was just a process of getting comfortable with myself and really owning it and really being comfortable. And clothing helped with that for me. So I started dressing in traditional, what we call masculine clothing or men's clothing, which has changed a lot in our culture over time and over my process of coming out and doing my process. That helped me emerge into myself and get comfortable with my gender and with being who I am. And to be really honest, I feel on the fence about my gender. Really, I use like masculine pronouns and different things like that, and I dress traditionally masculine clothes, but I really feel on the fence about where I'm at with my gender, as far as like, I feel like a pretty even split of masculinity and femininity, which is really interesting. And I know a lot of folks feel that, and it's being talked about a lot more, which is really nice. But yeah, that's a little story about like kind of like where it's always been ingrained in me, right? So fast forward, where that takes me now is, with that, I was always trying to figure out, how do I fit into these clothes with this body, right? Having a body that traditionally, if you're talking off the rack, these clothes don't fit on many AFAB, assigned female at birth folks. For me, I'm a little bit lucky in that I have kind of a straight frame, so a lot of the clothes actually work for me off the rack, but there's a lot of folks that they don't work for. So I always was striving to help people with that. With that, I had a friend who was very encouraging to me and was just like, you should really do something with this. Like, you have this gift. You should like do a business or help other queers or something. And I was like, really? It's just a thing. It's just like, whatever. And she's like, no, really, I think you should. And she's like, I'm going to give you your first client, which is going to be my future wife. And I want you to help them with our wedding, their clothing, because they're really struggling. And I was like, okay. So that was how I kind of unofficially started my business, which is really a clothing stylist, but I specifically like to work with queers, and I like to wear, and across the board, how I really started was helping folks who like to wear traditionally masculine clothing, but really I do across the board. And so folks come to me and they're like, hey, I want help. What can you do with me? And it's not just the clothes. I also help with folks really going through their gender process. Because, because we're dealing with gender too, I'm not just throwing clothes at people like a traditional clothing stylist does. There's a lot of emotions and processing that goes with that, because it's more than just the clothes for us. It's a part of who we are in an identity, and what we're trying to step into, which is trying on something new and different for a lot of folks for the first time. So with that, I'm helping people along the way talk through this process, talk to them about taking that risk the first time, wearing something that's different for them, that feels right for them though, and helping people with that. So I developed over the years just this whole process of how I do that with folks. And I've been doing it now for, I think almost 15 years. But I am not, honestly, I've always just done word of mouth. I recently actually just started a website for the first time this year. First time in my entire career having a website. Haven't even been extremely public with it yet, because I just taking baby steps with it. But yeah, and so that's how I've evolved into what I do now. But really, what I want to do with this conversation today is talk to you folks and get your points of view of like your opinions on like clothing, what that means to you, what it stands for. A big topic for me is talking about clothing now, where traditionally it's talked about like women's clothes and men's clothes, and it's just like that is so dated and not how I view things, not how a lot of us view things now. And just talking about pieces of clothing, of referring to like what they are versus who they belong to in the binary. So I really want to get deep with that. If you all are interested in giving your opinions, your insights, your like what you've experienced in your life with it, different changes and whatnot, I would love to talk about that, because I want to hear where you come from with that and your opinions on it, really. So if anybody wants to start with anything that striked them thus far, that would be awesome.
Thank you for sharing, Dex. Wow. By listening to your story, there's no way I cannot reflect in myself growing up, and thinking, about that. I remember growing up, and my clothes was my way to express. Example, like the music that I love. I used to remember wearing T-shirts, from concerts, stuff like that. But at the same time, when I started dating, I start asking for advice to my older sister. Things to wear. Pay attention to the clothing that the partners of my sister was wearing in order for me to wear, just because I grew up being a little bit insecure, and I think I use a lot of the clothes that I wear to try to fit into in the society. I think I could see a lot in the community that I grow up, that people judge you based on or you were treated based on the clothes that they were wearing. So, but at the same time, now as an adult, having two college daughters, and then growing up, we were really open to explore clothing and wear different stuff, and we were never scared of going to Goodwill and buy clothes there and shop. So, and that was while I was listening to you, I was thinking, okay, Dex wear this amazing clothes, is all into fashion. Where Dex shop, because I think goes to different shops in the cities. You can find a lot of different style, and sometimes it's hard to fit in too. I was born in Puerto Rico, but I also live in Dominican Republic. Then I moved here to Minnesota, so obviously also different type of weathers. When you compare to, so I think for me, clothing has been a way to express myself. Even at younger age, when I used to try to fit in, I also tried to create my own style, too, so I could express myself. Everyone wants to look good too, sometimes not necessarily to fit in, but also to feel good about yourself, especially when you're insecure. You want to look good. You want to look at the mirror and see what you like. And sometimes, you like the mirror and say, I don't feel comfortable. And I could see also how that could affect me sometimes, looking at myself and then looking at the outfit that I was wearing. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't know. I want to stay home just because of that. So I don't know. Now that you brought that topic, the more I think, the more I start guessing myself. But at the same time, I cannot deny how important it has been for me just to have a style, to try to dress well, try to also understand sometimes the places that I go. For example, when I facilitate spaces for men and boys, I used to dress up, and I didn't realize how that intimidates some other men or maybe other folks that maybe saw me and thought, "Oh, look at Felix, how well he's dressed. He probably have a lot of money." When in reality, I bought a lot of that clothing in Goodwill or and other shops. I don't think you need to wear sometimes really expensive brand. It's just have a decent style or idea of how to match clothing. But I don't know. I think I'm walking in circles and going nowhere with my conversation. But it's very interesting. So I would love to hear from Serrano and Sean, but also hear from you. How, what inspire you in the way you dress. I think for me, culture, music, there's a lot of factors that determine or inspire me to dress up. But I don't know, I'm looking forward to hear from Serrano and Sean a bit. So hopefully, sorry that I went everywhere, but yeah, it was very fun listening to your story, Dex. So I'll let the folks talk now.
Nah, it's all right because I'm about to do the same shit. But so nah. I think so in general. So me growing up like in the area of like Bronx, New York, like hood projects, like it's definitely tough. That is not a place where you don't get neither one of them. You don't get the exploration or the expression, either one of those. You don't really have, and it's not really safe. And I'm gonna just be like very honest. But it was also out of like probably just insecurity in the neighborhoods, insecurity of people not wanting to wear what they wanted to wear because of their friends, because of their family members. Like, yeah, I definitely grew up with, boys or people who identified as boys. You wore the blue, you wore the jeans and the shorts, and people who identified as women, you wear the pink and you wear the long socks and the dresses and stuff. And it was definitely very like unsafe for folks who kind of went in between those, when in all reality that is exactly like who they are. And that's the part that we kind of don't realize. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about the youth. But that's where I started off, was like, yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, like me and who I call my cousin to this day, like he's an amazing person. We don't fought with, like, not with each other, but fought other people. Like I said, I'm from the hood, so we don't fought other people together. We don't shared our last $20 together. We don't went to Times Square together. We don't slept in each other's bed. He, like, I wouldn't say randomly, because obviously he always felt this way, but he one day expressed that he was gay. Um, at the time, just gay. Today, amongst other things, and a beautiful soul. But at the time, he was like, "I'm just gay." And sadly, to see everybody who was on his side like turn against him was like fucking like turning my stomach. Like it was like heartbreaking. Like the same people who was walking with him was like chasing us, right? Like, and making him feel like he was less than a human. And it's like, damn, this is the same person who you fought with, the same person who you broke bread with. Like, how is now that they're finding out parts about them? First of all, it ain't got shit to do with you. Like, it's not affecting you at all, no way, shape, or form. So why is that affecting you now? So that's definitely where I came from, and I can't lie about that. I don't even glorify that shit. I just try to talk about it in a way that people understand it. Because now I'm on like the flip side, right? Like now I work with young, beautiful youth who are amazing. I've had youth who have came out in the group, and I'm like waiting for a youth to say some like shit that I got to correct, and they're just like they're cool with it. I love, the biggest thing about me is exploration, because we never got that, especially as young men. Young men don't get to explore. We just get told what to do, and that's it. We don't get to explore partners. We just get told women. We don't get to explore clothes. We just get told with blue and t-shirts and shit. We don't get to explore music. We're just told rap, or in my case, like rap, or like stuff that men like. We didn't get to explore hobbies. Was just physical shit, football, basketball, crazy shit like that. We didn't get to express our emotions. It was just anger and fighting. So sadly, like as a young kid, you never really get to explore or to express. Obviously, you got to explore to express. You got to figure out who you are to express who you are. So it's so sad to see people back home where like they never got a chance to explore. So I know damn well they didn't get a chance to express. So I love when a young kid, and it doesn't matter the gender, can come into our room Dex, for a little bit of context, I work with 4th all the way up to 12th grade youth now. And it's amazing. Well, coming to the end of that, but that's what I worked with was fourth graders all the way up to 12th grade, primarily 4th to 6th, so primarily younger folks, the ones that are really going through that moment in time where they're trying to figure out who's on their corner. Can I turn that corner and be who I am? And it was just amazing. One thing that I can never get back is applauding or highlighting somebody for wearing what they want to wear and just watching them fucking glow. Like I'm not gonna, I don't give a fuck what you, I don't give a fuck what Jesus said. I don't give a fuck what you came up with. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Like none of that is ever going to like block the fact that I see you are a shining soul right now. And that's all I need. That's all I want. I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care. Like although my opinions are different now, even if my opinions were the same, like I can never go over a child's smile or a human smile. Like how the fuck do you be like, oh, this person is wearing what they want to wear. They're loving themselves. And now I'm just going to talk about the Bible or some shit that I don't believe in. Like, come on, spare me the time. So I really do appreciate seeing that. Like, I feel like most people too who are on bullshit, they don't get a chance to actually see that in person. And my bad again for the language, but yeah, real people who really work with youth or work with people, they get to see the actual impact. And then you're like, no, I can't be. My opinion does not matter. First of all, it's hurtful, and my opinion doesn't matter because this person is living in their skin, they're living in their pride, they're living in their soul, they're living in who they need to be, happier than most fucking people, you know. So I think like that's what really helped me turn that world was like watching the youth. Yeah, there's youth who come in our group now with like Christmas sweaters that are like in pink knee-high boots, and I'm like, the first thing I say is I love those boots. I don't even debate who's wearing. I'm just like, I love those boots because I do. I love the fact that you love yourself. I love the fact that you wear what you want to wear. So that was just a little story of me. Like, yeah, I grew up. It was very hectic. I'm not gonna lie. I can't even pretend. You know, the village still exists to this day. Like that's how bad it is. You know, in Manhattan, in New York. So, but I loved and I got a real like impact out of actually being in front of people, where that's their life. That's my opinion, but that's their life. So I'm gonna say that again. That may be my opinion, but that's their life. Point blank. So I love being able to work with the youth and just honor them. No, you want to wear pink, wear that. I love that you love it. Like I love that you love yourself, you know. And it's definitely tough. You get kids who like come to group and that's their only way of love. Like I didn't have multiple youth say, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like my parents will let me wear this shit. Well, I'm like, well, at least for in here, you getting loved on. Like you can wear what you do, you can do what you do. So I think like that was my little journey of like knowing sadly like what I wanted to wear and what I couldn't wear, and then realizing that fashion is basically what you put on. It's not. It's how you put it on. It's not what you put on. Actually, it really isn't. So yeah, thank you for that.
Dang, I'm already loving this conversation. So just yeah, appreciating that because I'm like listening to y'all share your stories, right? And I'm sort of like reflecting back, and um, I feel like for me there were like very clear seasons in life where I was able to express my gender like through the clothes that I wear, and it just sort of flip flopped back and forth a little bit. So, um, being assigned female at birth, I was raised in a conservative home, so gender roles were like the thing. They were it. Pink and blue, divide, hard. Um, and when I think back, though, like when I was young, um, like the years prior to hitting puberty and things just, dramatically changed at that point in my life. But prior to that, I feel like I was just the kid who was running around in shorts and a Ninja Turtle t-shirt, just loving life and having water fights and finding frogs and, everything was good to go. Um, and then puberty sets in, middle school, high school. That's oof, that was a rough time for me. Glad I don't have to do that again. But during that time it was like everything was so hyper feminized for me. Like those were the only options. I just remember like shopping, hating to go shopping, just literally not wanting to do it every year for like school shopping stuff and whatever. um, and just being so uncomfortable like in the girls section, and just but I didn't have the words at that point. I didn't have understanding of like who I really was inside. I was sort of just following the lead of everyone around me saying, oh well, you'd look cute in this dress. I fucking hate that dress, but okay, I guess I'll go with that because like that's what's expected. I don't want to look like a weirdo. And then fast forward, you know, early 20s, mid 20s, when I was sort of figuring out my queerness. That was like really, I remember the first time going into a store. I was actually with my childhood BFF, Annalisa, and we went shopping. And it was like the first time that I had shopped in the men's section, and like was able, just felt comfortable being with my people to like do that, and to do that exploration like you're saying, Serrano, like just getting to be there and not feel like super concerned that everyone was looking at us or like wondering why we're there. um, and yeah, like I have these pictures to this day of us after that shopping trip, you know, just rocking our like like plaid cargo pants, t-shirt, like that was a good look. Had the baseball hat, you know, just really like dipping my toe into like more masculine focused clothing, or however you would say that. And then, yeah, just becoming more and more comfortable with myself and discovering my trans identity. And then, yeah, I feel like that a lot of us talk about like going through sort of a second puberty. And so I feel like I certainly have had that experience. And through that, really have found myself gravitating back to like the Ninja Turtle t-shirts and like the fun things that were cool before like society and like life just totally shifted, you know, 180 on me. And so, yeah, that was sort of where I've been: jeans and a t-shirt kind of guy, throw a sweatshirt on. Comfort is like really important for me. And now I'm sort of in this new season of life as well. And like considering, okay, do I want to dress it up a little bit? Like I kind of feel like a shift is like in order. And so what does that look like? How does that feel for me? You know, so like asking friends for, you know, what do you think about these pants? Like, should I get this? Like, how does this look? So it's, yeah, I think it's been a fun journey for me. I'm glad I'm through the like female part of that, because that just never felt right for me. Um, and yeah, I kind of love the place I'm at with fashion, and excited to sort of start new stuff, and yeah, just be more open to that. Um, and so, dang, that was okay. That was a lot of really cool stuff. And I also want to invite a comment in, because I think this is maybe an interesting question for us to go to next. So we want to thank Lark for sharing this question. So, do any of you, us, feel like while growing up, your self worth was influenced by the clothes you loved the most? So, not sure if we want to go there. Dex, if you wanted to start us off and share any reflections.
Yeah, great question. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm going to take this to an interesting place. Kind of tapping back to a few things that Felix and Serrano said. Um, and Felix was saying, hey, like, you know, where do you shop? Or saying how you used to wear concert t-shirts and that felt really cool. And it represented like, you know, things you liked and made you feel good. We're talking about confidence. Serrano talking about the gender polarization and being told what to wear and what all that stuff. Same with Sean, you know, just being like, this is what you have to do type of thing. So I want to talk about clothes from and I'm bringing in like, I'm using old terminology and new terminology, and I just want to put that out there as like a comfort thing. Things that I grew up saying and things that have changed. And I'm going to bring both of those in the conversation, and just so you understand what's going on. So when I was younger, probably like in my 20s, more or less, it was talked about like putting on your drag, you know, like your armor, different things like that. And that's what clothing was, or could be used in that way, right? I'm putting on my work drag. I'm putting on my, you know, my going out drag, blah, 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 just as like my armor, my protection, my whatnot. And so that is definitely influential. I have also come from the thought of, and also experienced where how I would say generally how I dress for the day or where I'm going or whatnot influences my confidence level. Felix was talking about that a bit. It definitely influences my confidence level. So like having like quote unquote appropriate dress for the occasion, whatever it may be, even if it's going out dancing for the night, even if it's going to an outdoor barbecue, very simple. Like in my life, for me, doing that, being appropriate to the situation, those are I don't like those words, but that's really what I have in my brain right now, is what I always try to do. Like, number one, that I'm comfortable, number two, that I'm confident, and number three, that it matches the situation. Like, for instance, like I went to a barbecue earlier this week, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna be outside, it's gonna be hot. It was a beautiful day on Monday. It was just gorgeous. It was warm, but not too hot. We were in the shade. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wear shorts, but I also like want to look cute. Like, I want to be comfortable. You know, we're talking about comfort, Sean, but I want to be cute. Like, so I'm just like, how do I wear shorts and still look fly? You know, it's like, it's a constant thing for me. And I think for a lot of people, and I think this is how we get stuck in ruts of like, you know, people are thinking, well, if I want to be comfortable, I can't look nice. And I'm like, bull. Like, like, no, that's not true. You can absolutely look comfortable and like represent yourself. And, you know, I'm seeing Sean wearing this, I'm looking at the hoodie you're wearing, and that's like a huge representation you have going on there. Yes, it's just a hoodie, but look at that hoodie. Hello. Like being a political statement through a hoodie, right? Like I always called myself a political statement at work because I used to work in a big box end store, big box clothing store. And as an AFAB person, dressing up in a suit every day, that was tough. From a customer point of view, from a company point of view, I pushed a lot of buttons. I was there for 5 years. I pushed back hard. And it was very hard and interesting, but also felt good to me because it was like, I have to do this for me to feel good, to feel appropriate. So yeah, it does. It's a thing. But yeah, those are just kind of some things I want to touch on. And like, how does that work for you all? Like, does it feel like armor? Does it feel like, and for that, like, is it a negative or a positive? Like, is it like, oh, I'm putting this on, but this isn't truly who I am when Sean's talking about wearing the dress? Or am I putting this on because it makes me feel good in this situation? Is this truly who I am? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying on new clothes and I'm asking, does this seem right? But how does it feel to you? And I think that's an important piece. How does it feel to you? Like, yes, and, you know what I mean? So like, how do you wrap that all up and be like, I want to be comfortable. I want to feel confident. I want to be true to myself, step it up, but still be within the realm that feels real and true to me, right? Yeah, anybody else? Go ahead.
No, I would say absolutely. Thank you for that question too, Lark. I would say yes. I feel like 100. I wouldn't even say. I was gonna say 100%. Sometimes I'll be overdoing it, but fuck it, 100%. But I would say yeah. Like just going back to what I was saying earlier about like seeing that young kid, you know, being able to have a person in his life say, "Hey, you're wearing the right things. Keep it going." I can only imagine, and I mean only imagine because I can't imagine. I can only imagine what that was for that little kid. I can only imagine, right? We know that we live in a world where self-worth is definitely tied to the clothes that you wear for sure, especially when you're not being able to be loved in that way. So let me provide it like this. So people forget that when people are coming up to express, we are coming out to show you that we have found something about ourselves. I'm presenting this to you, right? So this is me wearing my clothes. So for example, Sean, let's say if you were my parent, I'm presenting like, hey, this is who I am actually. I found it, like, and we steal the joy in that. This is literally the person saying, like, I envision the person smiling, holding something, and be like, I found it. Like this is what I found. And think about it. The moment where we go, you're not supposed to wear that. The moment where we go, that's not what boys wear. The moment where we go, that's not what girls wear. The moment we shut that person's entire identity down, and we forget that this person is yearning to look for somebody to say, hey, I see what you found. I have found the fact that I can wear a pink shirt and I can still be who I am as a solidified human being. I found this. Do you accept me? Is this okay? And we forget that the moment that we go, oh, well, what I grew up with, and well, the Bible, and oh, well, this shit, it's like you're immediately shutting down the identity of that person. So that's why I say definitely, because that's how I see it, is this person is presenting to you that they found their life. They found themselves in the midst of being like lost because of other people staring them into different directions. And so I think about it as myself too, as an adult. Like, I don't, yeah, when I put on clothes, I don't ask anybody, like, I don't like throw any pictures up. Like, I'm confident in what I wear, but the moment I get a compliment, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, okay, now I see why I do this. Like, because yesterday I had an interview yesterday. So yesterday, I like to dress up dapper and all that. Like, but sometimes, like, speaking of comfortability, sometimes it like gets too hot for me, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't wear this. So if I can ever find some like cool breeze suits, I'm gonna definitely go with that. But so yesterday I was at an interview, and I'm an avid Snapchatter. I'm just somebody who likes to inspire. So I put on my Snapchat, we can always, switch up every now and then. And just seeing people like comment, like, you look good, this looks amazing. I'm just like, oh, I didn't put it up there for that. But even when you're not looking for it, most people are, even when you're not looking for it, you feel that sense of community. I felt loved. I felt like, damn, the next time I put on the collar shirt, I'm going to do it the same way again and again and again. So I would say yes, 100%, maybe less than that, but I would say yes. The moment that a person comes up to you and say, hey, this is who I am, in a form of them expressing what they're wearing, you are shutting that down immediately when you talk about your opinions, how you think they should wear, gatekeeping their actual identity. And then when I talk about myself, like, yeah, like, we forget that fashion really is like a choice. It really is. It's not about wearing $100 shit. Like, I wear basic stuff on a daily basis, and people be like, hey, I like your outfit. And I'm like, I really just threw this on because it was clean. But that in itself, it's like, oh, okay, damn. Like, I appreciate the compliment. And I do look, to you right, I do look good. Matter of fact, since we're on this topic, I do look good. And thank you very much. So I would say, yeah, in my opinion, it definitely has a lot on the self-worth for sure.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. Now when I think in styles, and I think I was born in 1976, so I went through the 80s, 90s, and it's every decade I think in a different type of clothing that I was wearing, something to do with age. But I cannot deny that how expensive style is. If you want to wear cool stuff, you need to spend a lot of money. And how tough it is, especially because sometimes you try to fit in, and I see this a lot in the youth that I work with now, that they're very focused that they need to wear Jordans, and when you ask them, why you bought those Jordans, because those are the cool shoes to wear. Everybody like them, and you start questioning them. You know how much they cost. You know how hard your dad need to work to pay for those Jordans that you're wearing. And how as a society we're thinking that we need to wear Louis Vuitton to be accepted. We need to wear these specific brands that, you know, I feel that sometimes we're trying to fit in a world, we're wearing this mask, this clothing to sometimes show up something that doesn't fit with what's inside of you, just because you're trying to fit in too, and when you try to be authentic and you try to be yourself, or you need to, I think that's what I consider when I see that out with someone wearing something unique, something different. That's something that I appreciate, and that's what I personally think, that style, not wearing those major brands. When I see someone wearing something different, something that look good, but that depends in each individual. But I think, and when I was younger, I think my mom, of course, wore my clothes. I went to an age that I start deciding, I like that, I don't like that. Now I'm married. Now my spouse buy most of my clothes. It's kind of funny, because I think at this age I really don't put that much attention to that. But I can see how, to the younger crowd, how important it is, to wear something that you feel comfortable, but at the same time you feel affected, and people think that you're cool, and they respect you based in what you're wearing. That even that I think fashion is important. At the same time, I think for some individuals that maybe don't have the money or don't, I don't know, it's different, and it's harder. And as a society, we like to judge people, and we do based on that. Sometimes we do based in gender, we do it based in social class. So I don't know. It's a huge complexity in this conversation. Also, a lot of intersections too, and social class. I think race, but I don't know. I think it's very awesome when you find your style, when you find who you are, when you can wear something that represent your values, that represent yourself, but at the same time understand that that could be triggering for some other people. That could be intimidating for some other people. Seeing people wearing a suit, I can go to Goodwill. I'm not promoting Goodwill here, and I mentioned a couple of times already, but I think you can go to a lot of those thrift store and buy suits, for a very inexpensive uh, amount. And I remember when I used to work in the financial nonprofit side, a lot of people, they always compliment the clothes that I wear, and they always assume it was very expensive clothes. And and most of the clothes that I have, they're brands that nobody knows. They were like cheap brands, but sometimes it's been clean, it's been shave, and and try to look decent, but at the same time, we cannot judge people because of that. So I think it should be a balance. I can also see how your clothes can influence yourself, but at the same time, I want to actually clear awareness that even that style is important for a lot of us and a lot of people. At the same time, we need to be aware that there's some individuals that maybe don't have the capacity to wear clothes that, oops, sorry, I just keep jumping the screensaver of the computer, that uh I lost my line, but how clothes sometimes could be a trigger for some people that maybe don't have the financial capacity to wear Jordans or to wear Louis Vuitton, or wear certain brands. So, like I mentioned before, I appreciate style, I love style, but I don't know. Listen to Dex hearings from some people looking for advice, and him being able to be with them and maybe show them a little bit how to wear cool clothes, and maybe, and there's something that I thought sometimes, I said, you know what, I should bring some of those youth that they're talking about style. Let's take them all to one of those stores and realize you don't need to wear Jordan. There's a lot of the other brands that are nice, they're fun, and you're not promoting, you know, those brands that sell clothes at ridiculous price, and that personally, I don't think they're worth it. But some people, in order to fit it, they worth it. But I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, dang, I appreciate you bringing that into it, Felix. Because it is, yeah, you're right. It's such a complex thing, right? And I think on the surface, when you talk about fashion or the clothes we like to wear, it's like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But then, like, as you're asking these questions, right, it's like, oh wow, this is like I would agree that how we express ourselves definitely sort of is tied to how we see ourselves, how much we value ourselves. Um, and I hear you, Felix. Like, I do most of my shopping at Savers. Again, we are not promoting any particular stores, but thrift shops are where it's at if you don't have a lot of means, and those of us working in nonprofits, and other types of jobs that don't have that access to funds. I mean, it's definitely important, and they got really good stuff most of the time. But yeah, I was just also thinking about. Um, something we talk a lot about within Men as Peacemakers is this we are all connected idea. And part of that is like in this community that we're building together that is safe, that is inclusive to all, everyone within that community feels that sense of belonging, just like deep in them. And I think it has to do with our own self worth and how we see ourselves. And I think it also is a lot about like how folks receive, our looks or whatever. I was just thinking just the other day, I was driving through the Caribou Coffee drive-through, as I do a lot. And the like barista who was checking me out or whatever, like I was actually wearing this same sweatshirt, which, to be honest, sometimes I feel a little nervous wearing it. I don't always feel super confident to wear like these sort of political trans statement shirts. Sometimes it, like Dex, you were saying, it really sort of depends on the context and who I'm going to be around and if I feel safe to express myself fully in that way. Um, but yeah, I just, it made me feel so good to be noticed, right? And like you're saying, Serrano, to be seen. Like we all do want to be seen and we want to be valued and accepted for like all of who we are. Um, and so, yeah, I'm really enjoying this conversation. And I also know that we're kind of coming up to our 10-minute warning time of when we'll be wrapping things up. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you, to Dex for being here and opening up this conversation because we really haven't talked about gender expression at all in the 60 conversations, or 59 before this one. And it's very interesting. And I think a lot of men and mask folks, um, just don't take the time to explore or don't even really know that it's an option. They just, we're kind of just going through the motions. And so to sort of pause and for folks who are popping into this conversation to like give that some thought. Like, do I feel good with what I'm wearing? Like, are there things that bug me? Like I know I have certain things that just like if I have a t-shirt and it's like got this wide neck, like, oh, that drives me out of my mind. I don't know why. It's like I need that neckline to be tight. So I think there's just so many directions this conversation could have gone, and I think it'd be really cool to have you back, maybe Dex. I don't know, school shopping time frame, maybe. um, but yeah, I'm just appreciating and just want to open it up for folks to kind of share their last thoughts as we wrap this one up.
Yeah, this has been amazing. I'm like so sad it's almost over. Really, because I just have so many heavy topics. And just to wrap up, I'm going to drop some heavy things to think about. And we don't have time to get through it all, but just to think about the influence. First of all, talking about money and values with clothing. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I used to work for a like big box store, like really expensive. Like I had issues selling things to people because I was just like, I'm not comfortable with the price tag on this. And they would always be like, it's not your money. You can't shop with your wallet and all these like, Kool-Aid things they try to get me to drink. And I was like, nope, still can't do it. So, and, but, yeah, so talking about your values around clothes, talking about money, talking about different things like that. There's a lot of things we can dip into as far as that. Let's just hit a hard topic and let's just talk about what colonization and white folks have done to influence and say that you have to have a clean shaven face and wear a suit to look fly. No. So let's talk about those deep topics. Let's talk about other cultures. Let's talk about different things like that. I'm Mexican. I come from a different culture of what dressing up means. I remember seeing my father in like guayaberas and dress pants and like that was his dress up and he looked great. Let's talk about all those different things. Let's talk about future topics like that. Let's just drop some ideas of like things that we can really get deep into for an hour on just one of those topics. But yeah, those are all really important things. And just going to drop one more tip before I kind of like get quiet here is everything in my world influences how I dress. Everything. And I will say things as little as the way other people dress. Even I had people in my life. I have a person in my life who says, I wear nothing but a bruised palette. I only wear navies and blacks. Like that's what I'm comfortable with. And don't you know, them saying that and watching their dress influenced me as to things to try, as to things to feel out, as to different ideas and being like, oh, hey, I haven't looked at black in a while. Let me try that on again. I kind of like got rid of that for a minute, like everything influences me. And secondly, I don't drop a lot of bank. Thrift stores, secondhand, clothing exchanges, all those things, that is one of my main values. Like this stuff I have on, it may look expensive, wasn't. So like, you know what I mean? Like we can approach this from different angles. And I just think that's really cool. And I'm really glad that you all brought these things up. And thanks for having me.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for preaching. Thank you for preaching. I think that's so important. And I think nowadays, I'm super happy and excited. Things are starting to change. We're the same way we're breaking those gender stereotypes. We're starting to see people dressing differently to be more open. Seeing style also different. And like you mentioned, and you don't need to wear a suit to look professional, to look this way. I think we need to start breaking with a lot of those stereotypes that they cause harm, but at the same time provide people to be themselves, to explore, to try things that they're out of the norm. So that's special. That could be a way to be different, and to open the space to so those other people that maybe think like you said, that you need to have that suit to look a certain way, or you need to wear blue because you're a boy, or you need to wear pink because you're a girl. I think we live in a beautiful world, and we're going the right way. I think it's tough. There's still a lot of rejection. There's still a lot of hate, homophobia. There's a lot of factors that don't sometimes allow us to explore that world of fashion. But we're starting to see now. I remember growing up, boys, you cannot paint your nails, you cannot have long hair, you cannot wear earrings, and all that stuff is changing. So we're going the right track. It's just maybe moving slow, but I can see that light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're getting there, and I think the youth are going to the right track. We just, me as an adult, I wanna be sure they feel comfortable to provide and give them that support, so they can feel that they can wear whatever they want. They can have their own style. They have the capacity to be themselves and not be judged based on what they wear. But yeah, I think we're going the right way, and with conversations like this, that sometimes you would not think that men and masculine folks will be talking or spending 1 hour talking about fashion. We're doing it right now, something that is important for us too, but at the same time we need to create that awareness, and have an understanding that to not to judge, but at the same time explore, be yourself. Don't be afraid to be curious, and there's a lot of good people out there that are gonna have your back and they're gonna support you, and I hope everybody feels it that way.
So yeah, thank you, y'all. Thank you, Dex, for sure, for coming on, sharing your wisdom. I have I remember I was talking with this youth, and this doesn't like relate to anything particular, but I was remembering when you said, Felix, like that sometimes it's like important for kids to like want to wear a certain thing, and they become like friends because they're wearing expensive stuff. So my brother, so being from New York, obviously that's heavy in fashion, whether you want to, whether you don't. So I'm not anymore. I don't give a shit. Like I'm with y'all. Maybe y'all can get a Saver sponsor or something, or a Goodwill sponsor. But I'm the same way. Where if I find something for $5, I'm putting it on. But my brother, he's like still a sneakerhead. So I do have a pair of like Jordans that are like a lot of money. So I wear them just effortlessly, and I'm wearing them at a school. And the kid is like, "You wearing Jordans? You must drive a Maserati." I'm like, "I drive a Mitsubishi." But but that was just a moment for him to know that like just because you have certain things doesn't mean that you like it doesn't equate to success or millions of dollars of money. Like I'm here working with you in a school system and still win, these things. And literally, I got them from my brother for free, So, but I just appreciate being here. I appreciate all your wisdom. And yeah, for like the moment that we can like allow youth to be comfortable and like love on them and being that comfortable in what they wear, like the better we'll be doing. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely just really enjoying this. And again, yeah, how did it go by so fast? Gosh, what are my last thoughts? Yeah, I feel like I agree so much with all of y'all, and um, one sort of thing that I was thinking about that we didn't even really touch on either here is like, um, experiences for gender nonconforming folks, and how they sort of go in between these sort of feminine and masculine categories that we have set up. And I think I was just thinking about some folks that I follow who are like trans activists and who really do talk a lot about fashion and um, how liberating and like freeing it is for us to be able to just fully express like what makes us feel good. Like we've said a lot here today, and yeah, so I just want to thank Dex again for being here, and for all of y'all who were able to join us live, or if you're watching after the fact. This is our 61st live kitchen table conversation with the Men and Masculine Folks Network. A big thank you to our funding partners, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota and the Novo Foundation, for all of their support over the past couple years of us putting these conversations on. And as a reminder, we are talking here every 2 weeks, every other Thursday, and our next conversation will be on Thursday, July 13th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm excited to announce that just as of maybe 20 minutes before this conversation, we were able to confirm our next amazing guest star who will join the conversation, and that is Christine Davidson. And Christine is the Education and Prevention Coordinator at the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, also known as MUSAC. So very excited to welcome Christine to the table. Dex, we got to have you back, I think, for sure. There's so much that we can dig deeper into here, and looking forward to that. So don't forget to like our Facebook page. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well, where you can find all of our previous conversations. Watch them, let us know what you think. And as always, we love to involve you, our community, in these conversations. So reach out to us if you have a topic or if you want to come on and be a special guest. We really don't turn anyone away. We would love to chat with you and bring in those things that y'all are thinking about out in the community. So, thanks again so much, all of you. It's been a pleasure as always. And until next time, we hope you all take good care.